everyone, it's Silvia. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a tag. We're going to do a tag that is actually quite popular in BookTube, and it's called 10 Before the End. I will adapt it for TarotTube and I will put the prompts in the description box below. So if you want to do a VR, you're more than welcome, and please don't forget to tag me because I always have a lot of fun watching other TarotTubers videos. So let's have a look at what it is. So the first prompt is a deck I want to buy before the end of the year. Sorry, I probably forgot to explain what 10 before the end means. So it is basically 10 decks I want to take into consideration for 10 different prompts before the end of the year. And the first prompt, as I said, is a deck I want to buy, and it's definitely the Grim Tales Tarot. It's, I believe it's a Llewellyn deck, and unfortunately, even though I do know that it's just become available for you guys in the US, the release date for Australia is the end of February, and it just breaks my heart. Why do we always have to wait months? I know that I keep on repeating myself, so I will just not spend too much time on this. I do believe that there is some kind of marketing rule behind it, but I don't think it's a very smart operation to wait 4 months for a deck to be released in other countries. I don't know whether in Europe is the same. I know that South America is the same as Australia. I feel for you guys. But you know, when you live in a connected world like we do, you do see posts from everyone else, and there is anticipation. Of course there is. But after 4 months, we don't see those decks anymore. That's the problem. So it will create anticipation, and it would definitely create and generate more sales because people see these decks and they have this anticipation that they want to buy them. But that only lasts maybe a month, maybe 6 weeks, because guess what? There will be another deck that will come out and everyone will be talking about that other deck. And so when it comes to us, if we have to wait 4 months, we probably won't buy it. When it becomes available, we'll probably be like, no, there's a different deck that I want to buy instead. However, this is just me. And as I said in another video, sometimes there are exclusivity contracts with distributors. And I understand that. Personally, I would never sign that contract. But in any case, I really want to buy that deck. And next week I will be in London. I'm so excited because I will be presenting the Discombobulator magazine at the College of Psychic Studies in London, together with obviously all the other writers and the creator of a magazine, Andrea Aste. I will be very nervous, but I will try my best to film as much as possible so I can make sure that you guys will see how nervous I am. So that is definitely the Grim Tales Tarot is a deck that I definitely want to buy before the end of the year, if I can. Then the second prompt is a deck I want to rehome. And we'll just have a look at this one because maybe you guys can change my mind. So this is the Steampunk Tarot. There's a couple of Steampunk Tarots. And I believe one is illustrated by Barbara Moore, and that one is actually kind of really cool. This one is by John and Caitlin Matthews, and the illustrations are by Will Kingham. I want to say that I do not dislike this deck, but I believe that this deck came out and it was really cool when it came out. Sorry, I'm actually struggling to open the box. But then we've had so many steampunk decks or steampunk themed decks, even the steampunk with animals, which is the Westwood Tarot, for example, that have really won my heart. And there's one that I also want to buy. I believe it's called the Steampunk Fairy Tarot, which is even cooler because, you know, combining fairies and steampunk is, I think it's really cool. And so when this one came out, we didn't have that many decks based on these kind of themes. And I was kind of stoked and I liked it. I really do like the steampunk kind of art style, let's say, and also the clothing, obviously. Sorry. And one reason that I also do not, like, I'm not crazy about this deck is also the box. I don't like it when the box are like this, First of all, it's a lot of room. They could have just put the deck, in one stack and just reduce the size. I understand that the book is bigger, but you can also change the size of the book, and it's not necessarily huge. As you can see, it's rather on the thin side, and we do get information on the cards. Don't get me wrong, I actually like the book. It's just the format I'm not entirely on board with. And I also really like the fact that there's a spread, a custom spread for each and every one of the majors. I don't believe that we find that on the minors, though we don't, that's fine. But we still have 22 custom spreads that we can use. And they are steampunk themed as well. So it is all, part of the theme, which is really cool as well. So the book I like, box not so much. When it comes to the cards, it's just that I really believe, let me just zoom in. I really believe that we could do something more than this, maybe. And the cardstock is not my favorite, it's very thin. Maybe I have actually seen people trimming this down, which I could do that. The problem in that case would be that I would not be able to recognize the cards for what they have. For example, this is the Navigator of Leviathans. So everything has been renamed here. Many of the majors have been renamed. The minor suits have been renamed. The core cards have been renamed, which means that whenever I feel like these kind of vibes, and by the way, this one, I don't know if you're a gamer, I'm a gamer. I absolutely loved when it came out, so years ago, BioShock. Just really loved it. I even bought, and normally, I wouldn't buy the discs, but because I have a limited space on my console, that I buy the ones that I actually want to keep. And so I bought the discs. It's just, I love it. I love it, absolutely. And it gives me, this card in specific gives me so many BioShock vibes. It's really cool. The whole BioShock is steampunk, obviously. And, this is probably one of the reasons why I hesitated for so long in finally rehoming this deck. And because I do love the images, but there's a couple of things that I'm not 100% on board with. Sometimes also the way in which these have been done, it's probably just me, but it feels when I look at the heads that they are disproportionate in comparison to the bodies. Again, just me, but this kind of freaks me out. And when it's done on purpose, like in JBG, Jasmine Beckett Griffith, for example, you would definitely know her. It's think of the Halloween Forever Oracle by Blue Angel, illustrated by JBG. She has this very specific style in which the heads are very disproportionate, really large, and the eyes are really spaced and very big as well. But that is done on purpose, and I would never have any, how should I say this, any cognitive dissonance in liking it, because, well, I don't look for a human face. I know that it's different. I know that it's artistically different. In here, on the other hand, they're supposed to be looking like humans, and yet every time that I see a head, I just try and find out whether I think that it's proportionate or not, which kind of stops me and distracts me in my reading. So, there's a number of things, but I am talking about this deck because I know that many of you will have it. Have you found a way to use this deck in such a way that the older renamings, for example, and also I would say definitely the cardstock is not really an issue for you, and if so, why? Have you trimmed it down? Does it look different? Well, obviously it would, but I would like to hear your opinion. And this is very close to be rehomed, which makes me, sometimes I like, but do I really want not to have it any longer? And sometimes that stops me. But in any case, it's food for thought. Let's see. So the next prompt is a deck I want to use for the first time, because I do end up with a lot of decks on a weekly basis, whether it's because they've been sent for reviews, whether because I bought them, or because someone has been gifting them to me, or someone has been rehoming them. So I would say I do publish a lot of Tarot and Oracle decks roundups, and it's not always new ones. Sometimes I just, make up my mind on buying a deck that has been out for a long time and I just never really convince myself. And so because of that, I find myself falling behind on actually using the decks that I buy. And sometimes I make it a goal for the month. And this one is not a goal for the month, is a goal for before the end of the year. So I definitely want to start using the manga tarot. I haven't as yet. I have been going through the cards, and I have been kind of making a connection with the deck in any possible way that is not the actual, let's say, using it for divination. I don't even know whether it does read well, but I will definitely use it, and I will start, and I'm thinking even to start today, because I have a like a video chat with one of my closest friends, and I wanted to do a reading for her with this deck, and so maybe I will start, because I don't want to give out a reading to someone, especially to someone, whether it's a client or a friend, with a deck that I will use for the first time. I never do that. I always use them for myself first. I'm the guinea pig, and then I'll see whether it's okay or not. So this is a fantastic deck. I talked about it because it was a very fortunate accident. I was filming a video about another roundup. And what happened was that it was during the month of Spooktober. And I was thinking, okay, well, you know what? I have 4 or 5 decks, and this one is the only one that is actually not, let's say, spooky. And so I thought to myself, I'm just going to start with this deck. It's just going to be very brief, and then I'm going to go on to the other decks that are spooky. And whilst I was looking at the deck and I was going through the cards, and I felt all of these vibes coming towards me, and it started really making me emotional. And I thought to myself, something's happening here. You don't get to collect decks for, 37, 38 years without knowing that there's something there. You know what I mean? And so I immediately felt that my heart was singing. And it even makes me emotional now to relive it, because your first impression with a deck that ends up being so close to your heart is the equivalent of the first love, or maybe the first kiss. So it's something always very poignant. And I have to say, this deck, when I finished looking at it, even though there were, of course, not all of the cards resonated with me, and I don't even agree with all of them, but it's the vast majority of them. And especially there's a few cards that really, I find them very, very close to me, very important to me. And I am so grateful that I found this deck and that I convinced myself to buy it. And, to the ones that are selling it and to the creators and everything. So I ended up calling it my soul deck. Ever since then, I didn't even have the time to go through it, which is really a pity. And I just want to be sure. And that's also one of the reasons why I really cannot wait to start using it. Sorry, I've been shuffling because it shuffles so well. It's another one of those things that really makes my heart sing. These are the backs. It's the only thing that I'm not crazy about. Sorry, I'm struggling. I'm just going to zoom out. So are you aware that Mercury retrograde has just started? It is Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. And I will have to say, because we're still in the Scorpio season, for signs like Aquarius, it's awful. It's horrible. Trust me when I say this. Ever since the week started with Mercury retrograde, I have had nothing but problems. Not major problems, but technical problems galore. It's driving me crazy. I'm not gonna spend time on it because it's actually really annoying. And so my top-down camera is weird today, and it's not it's showing everything upside down, so I don't even know if I'm going up or down here, but that's okay. So I think that now we're on frame. So to show you the deck, this is a deck that I really want to start using for the first time. It is the Manga Tarot. If you haven't watched that video in which I was showing my first impression, you would not know. But this is basically, it looks and reads, it's got the same layout as a manga. Yeah, not surprisingly, right? It's called the Manga Tarot. But the scenes are absolutely superb. So I call them scenes because it feels like we're looking at something, we're reading something. So I don't know whether I should call them pages of a manga magazine, probably. It's just a really, really very chatty deck. It speaks to me a lot. Sometimes it even shouts at me. I mean, look at the Five of Pentacles. And there are very, very beautiful drawings. I call this, so Angie from Capo Tarot, she just called it. I loved it because she said it looks a lot like a Lupin the Third. So obviously, if you belong to that generation, you will know what it was. I loved Lupin so much. I had a crush on Jigen. And I agree 100%. So I call it my pre-Sailor Moon era tarot because, if you were watching anime or reading manga, you will notice Japanese manga were all looking like this. Let's say Tiger Man. There were so many. The Future Boy, Conan the Future Boy. Sorry, there's so many others. I love them all. Sanpei, the fisherman, and then there was the kid that was playing kendo. There was the Jenny, the tennis player, Mila, the volleyball player. I watched them all, guys. Oh, Captain Harlock. Oh my God, Captain Harlock. I have such a huge crush on Captain Harlock. And so, and then Sailor Moon came. And then after Sailor Moon, everything pretty much looked like Sailor Moon. Every character looked like Sailor Moon. But pre-Sailor Moon, they all looked like this. And I think that they're just absolutely fantastic. It is my preference. I mean, look at these cards. They're just really amazing. And because I love it so much, I am, my tendency is to think that it's also going to read well, but I don't know that because I haven't tried it yet. So my prompt is a deck I want to use for the first time, and it's definitely the Manga Tarot. The next prompt is a deck I want to study. So for the members of my channel, we're actually doing a multi or a cross decks study. And these are all decks that have a very specific theme, which is the vampire, folklore kind of decks. And so everyone can bring any vampire themed deck or gothic themed deck that they want. So I have 9, among which, for example, the Vampire Tarot by Natalie Hertz, the Gothic Tarot. See, this one by Joseph Vargo is not just exclusively, it is very Gothic, even though not exclusively vampire themed, but there is a lot of vampire folklore here. Same goes for the Bohemian Gothic Tarot. And then I've got the Horror Tarot, got the Tarot V. I even have the I Ching of the Dead Moon, which is gloriously beautiful. And La Vampire, which is a deck that I actually use to read the energies of the week video for my members. And this is actually not, as I always do, divided in the zodiacal groups of air, earth, fire, etc. I actually created a quiz to divide all of my members in 4 different vampire clans. And so there's the vampires of the clan of the ancient bloodlines, the cult of the blood moon, the renegade spawn, and the guardians of the veil. I'm one of the guardians of the veil. So I invited everyone to take the test, and it's so cool because I've got members reaching out to me saying, I am in the cult of the blood moon, but I really feel like a renegade spawn. Or maybe years ago I would have been a renegade spawn, but now I'm ancient bloodlines and everything, and it's really, really cool. And so I read energies for these groups, this clan of vampires. So we're actually studying vampire folklore based on the images of the decks across all of these decks. But my favorite so far, I know it's an auto print deck, but it's the Gothic Tarot of Vampires. This is a deck from the 90s that has been published by Lo Scarabeo. And unfortunately, it wasn't popular at the time. And so what happens when a deck, especially a deck published by a mass market publisher, when it's not popular They just don't renew the contract. They just don't keep on printing because, they have to find a popular one to make sales. So this one was by Riccardo Minetti, and the artwork is by Emiliano Mammucari. And but some of the graphics are by Pietro Alligo. Pietro Alligo is quite famous by Lo Scarabeo. You will find a lot of decks, let's say, curated by Pietro. And it is, it's 2003. So, okay, my bad. I thought it was actually still from the 90s. It does have a lot of 90s vibes. But then again, I have to say this, the 90s did not stop at the year 2000. I feel personally that the 90s vibes went on until at least 2005, or at least my wardrobe would attest to that. And now they're coming back, which I love. And it's also, you know why? Because I don't know why, but my physique, my body shape, the clothes back then, they used to fit me a lot better than the modern clothes now. And so if we're going back to then, I'm loving it. So this deck needs to be studied because it's not following the RWS. So luckily we do have the book here. And it does tell you, now as always with Lo Scarabeo, you know that it comes in 4 different languages. So obviously, I don't even know whether this one in my case comes in, yeah, it does come in English as well. So I would say though, let me see. Sometimes Lo Scarabeo will give a little bit more space in the guidebook to the Italian language because it is an Italian company. So going through this, I actually look at the part in Italian, not the part in English. I would always look at the part in English because obviously my channel is in English. And so if there's something that I need to say, I want it to come from the part in English. Obviously, I don't want to read it from the Italian part. But in this case, I rather look at the part in Italian because I feel like there's slightly more information that I was actually going to look for. What I'm doing is I'm just trying to go through all of the keywords that are presented in the guidebook. I don't feel like they're enough to explain the story. And so I'm using a lot of my intuition as well, but I'm also doing a lot of independently focused vampire folklore studies. There's so much literature out there, you wouldn't believe it. It's crazy. Seriously, there's so much out there. And also because, with my members, we were remembering when there was The World of Darkness, the magazine that was published, and it was also based on vampires and other stuff, obviously also werewolves. But they were the ones that were also producing the very first vampire-based video game. And that was really pretty cool. And so there is a lot of folklore and study that can be done by reading excerpts from those publications, for example. And you tell me if this is not 90s, that it looks so 90s to me. I really enjoy it. And so a deck that I definitely want to study is this one. So the Gothic Tarot of Vampires. If you want to join my membership, there's access to, well, when I will publish the live or the wrap-up video for the vampire studies, that will be accessible to all 3 of my tiers and memberships. However, the bulk of the study will be done with the Sunlight and the Starlight members. But there's a lot of videos. I post more videos for my members on my channel than for the public. So it's not because I love both, obviously. It's just that we're doing a lot of work, and there's tarot course, reading courses. For example, for my Starlight members, we're doing a lot of work with introspection, and I give a lot of exercises out. At the end of the year, I published the books, because it's books, out of all of the PDF files that I make available for my members. So it's a lot of fun. If you want to join it, it will also help support my channel, which, I'll be very grateful for that. So moving on to the next prompt. So the next prompt is a deck I want to gift. So to give to someone as a gift, not to rehome, although it will be the same concept, but I'm not going to charge for it. It's definitely going to be a gift. And it's the Chervona Chorny Tarot. this is a gorgeous deck, but I do have a friend of mine who is studying Eastern Europe and Slavic literature. And so I thought this could be a really good gift for her. You guys let me know. I could be wrong, but I really do believe. Well, obviously, this is the kind of let's say the culture where this deck is based is Slavic, Russian, that area. And I thought, she's not into tarot though, so I'm not entirely sure. But I think that the images here are very beautiful. Look at this one, it's so beautiful, the Justice card and the World card, of course. So I think that it would be a nice present. Obviously, it is based on RWS. So, and she's told me several times, so I'm pretty sure that she's not watching my videos, but she's told me several times that she wanted to start reading tarot. And I think that if I give her this, that would probably, I don't know, seal the deal somehow. Even though I'm looking at the Five of Swords and the Two of Swords, they're kind of peepish, so maybe I should choose something that is 100% fully illustrated, even in the minors, because that would definitely be helpful. But look at how beautiful this star card is. But I don't know. I mean, I think that because there's, the kind of the theme behind the inspiration of this deck is something that she really appreciates and she loves. Maybe she would just like it, and maybe she... look at the Hermit card, it's so gorgeous. I really love the art style. So maybe that will help her or not. Look at the Strength card. So I'm really thinking that she will love it. And at least I hope so. And yeah, this is a deck that I want to give to her before the end of the year. And the next prompt is a deck on my wish list as a gift. So this deck, I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to be giving out clues and nagging to my husband for him to know which one to buy. And it's the Yokai Oracle. So I've talked about this. I think it's going to be released at the end of November, at least in Australia. I hope that it will be available in Australia. I have had the possibility to have a look at a couple of cards, and it looks really good. It looks like it's very respectful of the yokai culture, so very good in the depiction of the yokais, and actually artistically beautiful, aesthetically beautiful. But also I had a look at the keywords, and they're keywords, not just title, which makes it, much easier for me to use it. And it looks amazing. And I'm really looking forward to that. And it could be the deck. So for what I could see, the color palette is not something that would go really well in a pairing with the Yokai Yochi or the Yokai Tarot by Lo Scarabeo. But it would definitely go really well with the other yokai. I have like 5. With the other yokai tarot, which is by Nui Nui, published by Nui Nui. So that could be an idea. And I'm really looking forward to get that as a gift. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And the next prompt is a deck that gives me Christmas vibes. I have to tell you a secret. I do not like any properly Christmas themed deck. I believe that unless you buy one of those vintage Christmas card decks that are sold on Etsy for like $1 million for Australians, because the shipping and the GST on the shipping and the GST on the deck and everything, you end up spending $200. And I'm sorry, but I'm not even gonna use it. So I don't own any actual Christmas. I think that the Yule Tarot by Llewellyn is a step towards the right thing to do, but I don't think that there's any deck so far. Maybe this year that will come out, I have no idea. It's just that Christmas doesn't necessarily give out the kind of vibes you need for a deck, a tarot deck, you know what I mean? It could be an oracle. But in any case, when looking at this prompt, I thought to myself, okay, but there must be a deck that is not necessarily Christmas themed that still gives you Christmas vibes, and there is. And it's this one. It's Poppy Palin's The Everyday Enchantment Tarot. I love this deck so much, and every time I talk about this deck, I feel like there's this sadness coming over because of what happened to Poppy. If you don't know, please look it up. I'm not going to say it. I was one of the very few, I mean, probably hundreds, maybe even thousands, I don't know, but the count. So she published a video, 2 videos before her passing. And I was one of the few people, at least back then, to have watched the video. Unfortunately, it was too late when I watched it. And I think that it was very painful. There was so much pain coming from her words. And my idea of her deck just did not correspond to what she was saying in that video. It just didn't. And so it was incredibly painful. It was incredibly shocking what happened. And it took me a while to get back to use this deck because I just couldn't separate the pain she has been through and the pain that she was expressing in these videos and the complete joy that I feel every time I use this deck. And then one day I thought to myself, you know what, Poppy would want to use it. Poppy would actually want everyone to use her decks. And you know what? I just owe it to her because I actually resonate a lot with this deck. I love it. And it's just not fair that I haven't been using it after what happened. And so it's a homage to her that I actually picked it back up. Or at least I mean it to be like that. And it does give me Christmas vibes because it is an everyday enchantment tarot. The message behind this deck is the idea that every day could be Christmas. If Christmas resonates with you, if Christmas is for you, full of enchantment, that it doesn't have to be just one day out of 365. And so I think that this is a deck that I want to use year round, but I do feel more like using, in this time of the year. It comes like this, which is, as I said before, so I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say, oh, I love the box. No, I really don't, but it's okay. The book is very interesting. Even reading this, you know what? I believe that when you go deeper into some of the cards in this deck, you will understand then the videos that she posted. I believe that there's a hint of something there, but you need to be very tuned in. But in any case, let me just show you the cards because they are absolutely gorgeous. I really love it. I'm just going to tilt it like this. There you go. Oops. Let's just see if they're upright. Nope. There you go. So I've seen a lot of people trimming it and I've been really tempted. Just not I haven't found the time yet. But you know what? She talked about this deck many times and she was saying it was not meant to come with borders, especially not borders that were this thick. But it was not even a mistake in printing, and just a printing company told her that the measurement of the deck, that the drawings that she made were, let's say, rather askew, and so she had to put borders in order to have all of the cards, let's say, have the same format. I think I have seen a lot of people, as I said, trimming off at least the borders and keeping the titles at the bottom. They are, I don't know, there's a lot of colors in the borders as well. And as you can imagine, as you can see them now, they are divided depending on the suit. So that also kind of helps, even though it is clear when you look here, it is clear that this is the suit of wands. It literally says 6 of wands. So really beautiful. It's giving me Christmas vibes because there is this sense of celebration in each and every card. As I said earlier, I do believe that some of the cards, the two, for example, the two of swords or blades, look at the death card. Isn't it such a beautiful death card? I imagine this is Poppy now. It's such a beautiful deck. The vibes are amazing. There is so much joy, honestly. Even though I do understand some of these ones to be I should say this. It does give you a gateway into darkness sometimes. But I love it. And they're so full of expressivity. Oh, okay. They express the situation so well. I just really vibe with all of these. Yeah, so I highly recommend it. It's still, well, it's a mass market deck, so you can still find it. It is still in stock. And have a look. It might resonate for you. I definitely really love this deck and I highly recommend it. And this is going to be used, during Christmas. I really want to use this deck for Christmas. And the next prompt is a deck that helped me through the year. It was the year of the Hermit 2025. You basically, in order to calculate that, you just put up the numbers, you add up the numbers. So 2025. It's number 9. It's the Hermit. It was the Hermit year. For me, the Hermit is not just about retiring within yourself to just understand yourself better, or it's not just about knowledge. It's not just about recuperating a bit of energy that you may have spent. To me, when I look at the Hermit, for me, is the important thing is to identify, try to find out the reason why the Hermit needs to step away from society or from a situation. And for me, it's always been about cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance is when, loosely translated, it means when you believe in something, you believe it to be true, and there's a number of things around you, whether it's people telling you or facts, or you even realizing that it might not be true. And so it just throws you off. It overwhelms you. It makes you believe that everything you've known so far was a lie. It could become very dramatic. And this year was, for me, it was the perfect Hermit year because of that. Not that it never went to the point of being extremely dramatic, but I second-guessed myself a number of times because I felt like everyone around me was second-guessing me, and it just, I have that kind of personality in which, and it comes from a slight OCD. I know that I've been doing a lot of therapy about that. But when things are not under control, it just makes me extremely anxious. And being told, for example, that no, things are not the way I thought they were, that actually makes me feel like I lost control. And so that makes me anxious. And so if you're like that, you will understand immediately what I'm talking about. I needed a deck that helped me through that. I needed a deck that grounded me, that made me feel like it was going to be okay. And I know that sometimes that's a fairy tale or magical thinking, but sometimes I need it. Guess what? Sometimes I need someone or a deck, a card that comes to me and says, you know what? It's okay. You're going to be okay. Even when everything points to the contrary. I just need that. And I'm a big girl. I'm an adult, and I know that I need to take, agency on what I'm doing. And just because someone comes and say, oh, everything's going to be okay, doesn't mean that it will be. But I need to hear it sometimes. So this is the deck that did that for me. The Unveiled Tarot by Jessie Lorrigan. This is a deck that was published towards the beginning of the year by Liminal 11 or Sterling Ethos, depending on your distribution in your country. It does come with 2 box in a box kind of thing, which is not my favorite because that put the price up. However, this is a mass market deck. Still in print, obviously, you can find it, and it's not an expensive deck. I don't know why some of these cards are like that. So I use this deck a lot. I use it for, whether it's for personal readings, mostly for personal readings, I would say, but also for my clients, for my members. Whenever someone asks for this deck, I have absolutely no problem in using it. This is a deck that I recommend if you have had a tough year, if the year of the Hermit has been overwhelming for you as well, if you find yourself, this is the Hermit, by the way, and this is exactly the way I felt. Going against the stream, going against, I would say, what people would normally think to be true. And I was looking at myself and thinking, but that is not like that. It's not. And I felt like I was going against the stream. And sometimes that made me almost proud of myself, because, I was courageous enough to do that. But other times, or most times, it just made me feel lonely because I was the only one. And reading with this deck really helped me, because it was kind of confirming that there's more than one truth in life. And I really love the way in which it does that. So the frame within the frame, I think it's brilliant. It is. It's brilliant. I mean, look at the Devil card. This one, I know one of my members told me she can't even look at this card because it actually gives her the heebie-jeebies. I do read a lot of horror books, so obviously this one, I go straight to haunted house, because there's one member in the family that is really not what it looks like. Think Sinister. If you have watched Sinister, I'm not going to say anything, obviously spoiler free, but Sinister, if you love horror movies, watch Sinister. It's really, really scary, but it's also really good. And this gave me Sinister vibes, so I know that there's a Sinister. By the way, have you watched Sinister 2? I haven't yet. Is it good? And so, yeah, I'm so very grateful to this deck, because it gave me so much this year. So the next prompt is a deck that will help me prepare for 2026. Sorry, I'm still making a mistake of saying 2025. And by the way, I am one of those people that keep on writing 2025 until probably mid-March. It's okay. So I am going to show you this deck, two decks actually, because next year is 2026, so 2 + 0 + 2 + 6 is 10, which is the Wheel of Fortune. So the collective major arcana card of the year. And after the Hermit year, going into a year in which, the theme of the year will be ups and downs, basically, because let's face it, we can just put as many thrills as we want in the Wheel of Fortune, but it's about ups and downs. So what I always tell my members when I teach tarot, or my students, is please do not get stuck, especially Italians. Obviously, I'm Italian, because fortuna in Italian is always positive. Instead, in English, the word fortune can be good fortune, but bad fortune as well. Ill fortune, for example, it means bad luck. And so I think that the English word is actually better than the Italian word, because la ruota della fortuna, the Wheel of Fortune in Italian, it gives you the idea that it's only about good luck, which is actually not, because it's a wheel, it turns. Yeah, of course, it can also mean good luck, but it also means, generally speaking, neither good nor bad luck. It just means that whatever is up will come down eventually, which of course also means that whatever is down will go back up eventually. So the next year, because as I said, giving away control, or even the feeling of not being in control, it's just really overwhelming for me. This year, next year is going to be, I don't know, it's going to be a disaster. I think it's going to be a disaster for me. So I need something really grounding. And I think that this is the El Goliath, by the way. And this is one of the bags from the Tarot Bag Ladies. I highly recommend them. All of their bags are absolutely fantastic. They're really gorgeous. And they are based in Queensland, in Australia, but they ship overseas. And I think that they also solved the issues around, shipping stuff to the US. So if you can contact them, they will let you know. But these bags are very good, and the quality is amazing as well. So this is the El Goliath Tarot, and it's the second edition. So not the mini one or the poker size one. I would definitely buy that. Sometimes it goes on sale, and I might actually grab a copy if and when it goes on sale. There's a few cards that are also can be used as oracle cards, I would say, here as well, as you can see. Although I never use them as oracle cards. These to me are more like archetypal cards. And I really love the art style. So this artist is actually Australian. I believe he lives on the Gold Coast. I'm not entirely sure, but around that area. And this deck is very shamanic. I mean, obviously you can see it straight away. And so I always loved pairing it with a shamanic oracle. And there's so many, but my favorite one to pair with the Goliath is the shamanic medicine. This one is by Blue Angel, which is also Australian. So we got a couple of Aussies here. And let me just show you how good these two are together. So let me just see. No, I'm telling you, looking at the camera, the LCD screen of the camera upside down is driving me insane because I feel like going up and it goes down and so on and so forth. It's fine, I'll be fine. So very, very shamanic, both of them. They read really well together. I don't necessarily feel like using them for divination. You could, I suppose. But this deck is so powerful, the Goliath and also the shamanic medicine. They're both so powerful and so grounding that I use them mostly for meditation. I would say that it's the best that I can get out of these two decks, especially when I use them together. Meditation, which for me always includes a lot of writing, so journaling, but also meditation as in trying to, ground my mind, not always being in the air. Of course, I'm an air sign, I'm an Aquarius, so I tend to float unless something brings me down. And I do find that these two are perfect for me. They work really, really well. I know that from an aesthetic point of view, this one is clearly black and white and this one is in color, but I still believe that they actually work well together. And there's a lot of correspondences between these two as well. There's a couple of cards. Sorry, this one is a triggering card for me, so I'm just going to move it. There's a couple of cards in this deck that are a bit intense for me. One of them, as I just showed you, it's the Two of Swords, is kind of triggering. But I actually kind of understand it. I understand the motivation behind choosing that image. And I really love it. So there's also a title. So it doesn't just give you the, let's say, the name of the card. For example, in this case, it's probably easier if I do this. So this one here, so it will say here Page of Cups. So obviously you know which card it's referring to. But also it says here the Sister of Roses. So it also gives you, I would believe, and the book is fantastic, by the way. And it gives you an additional way to interpret the card, also in an archetypal way, which is really interesting. And as I said, these two together, they're absolutely fantastic. Also, you can choose to focus on the keywords from the Oracle deck, which are very good as well. So we've got sea creatures here, but the image is very beautiful because these orcas are actually in the clouds, so and these animals are instead in the water. So it's really beautiful because this could point also to chemical elements, air and water, for example. But this one says immersion, and this one is the Ten of Cups, the joyous sky. So I believe it's pointing to completeness. You've got the water and you got the sky with the air, but you do have as above and so below kind of vibes coming from this kind of combo. And of course, there's a spider because we know that there should always be a spider. Apparently, it's a necessary creature to be portrayed on a deck. In any case, really gorgeous, these two. And I don't know, I'm just hoping that these two will help me for the Wheel of the year, which is 2026. Let me know which decks you're going to use for 2026, the Wheel of the year, because I'm always interested. And so my last prompt is my Tarot and Oracle deck goals for 2026. When it comes to my collection, one thing that I want to say is I want to keep an eye on my collection and actually make it so that it's not about the numbers of the number of decks that I've got, but it's with intention. So I want to collect with intention. That doesn't mean that it's going to be a no buy year. I don't think I would ever be able to not buy Tarot and Oracle decks for a year. I don't think so. And I don't want to, like, I'm not imposing anything. I don't have your discipline. I know that many of you try not to buy, and so they embark on a Six of Swords adventure, as in a no buy year. I don't have your discipline. I don't. And it's also because I have a channel. And in many cases, you know, I admit it, there's decks that I buy just for the channel. And that's fine. I'm okay with that. What I mean with more intentional kind of buying, let's put it this way, it won't be a no buy year by all means. It will be an intentional buying year. And with that, I mean, I will probably ask myself the questions that I generally ask myself before buying a deck, but sometimes I don't listen to the answers. So this time I will definitely listen. Do I need this deck? Do I have a deck already in my collection that is very similar in vibes to this deck? Is it, can I afford it? Can I afford it from a financial point of view, but also from a logistics point of view? Do I have room for this deck? And also, is it a collectible items? Obviously, when it comes to collectible items, I do have my unicorn list, and you know, when I will find a unicorn, I will consider whether buying it or not, with different set of questions, of course. But I want 2026 to be a buying year with intention. And that was it for today. So as I said, just tag me if you want to do a VR to this video. I would love to watch it. And let me know what your goals, Tarot and Oracle deck wise, are for next year. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you very soon. Bye.